Good afternoon, I'm Bill Anderson, coming live from the Costa del Sol, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined, I was going to say, by a different expat, because a lot of the expats that we have down here are British expats, but I'm very happy to be joined today by Chris Vermeeren. Maybe the name will give a clue, but welcome to Expat Radio, Chris.
Thank you so much, Bill. Good afternoon, everybody.
It's really nice to speak to you, Chris. Okay, for the well-educated amongst our listeners, Vermeeren, gives a kind of clue to where your roots might be, Chris.
Yes, I think everybody will know probably, besides maybe they think it could be maybe Belgium, but it's from Holland, the Netherlands, yes.
Yeah. So, and you're now living here on the Costa del Sol. How long have you been down here, Chris?
I've been here now for about 10 years. And the first 2 years part-time.
Right.
So basically to be here in the winter time, obviously, with the Dutch rain and, missing the sunshine.
Yeah.
So, but after that we decided quickly, okay, this is the place to live and to spend our life, yes.
Yeah, which part of Holland are you originally from, Chris?
I'm from the south, so that doesn't mean there's more sunshine, but I'm from Breda.
Uh-huh.
Grew up there, but basically lived pretty much everywhere in the world because of my profession, and but probably we come back to that later.
Sure.
But yeah, in Breda in the south. That, for the listeners, that's pretty much close to Eindhoven, Tilburg, in that area, yes.
Right. But cold in the winter.
Cold in the winter, rainy, cold, that's the worst, Cold is sometimes very nice. Sometimes we miss it, but most of the time we're enjoying the sunshine here.
Yeah. I mean, I think cold and rain are kind of overrated, Chris, Coming from Scotland, it's like, yeah, I can live without it. It'd be nice to have a little bit more rain down here sometimes, but I can live without having to get to work in the morning with icy roads and snow and storms and things like that. I really don't miss that at all.
Yeah, no, true. Totally.
So, Chris, what kind of work were you doing in the Netherlands? But you said you've been traveling around a lot. What is the kind of work that you've been doing?
Well, the main part is that I was involved in sport, mainly tennis. I was ex professional tennis player until the time that after 1.5 years, I got injured. But this gave me the way to travel around the world and also basically get into the sports business. So because of tennis, I came into the world of scouting and I started to work for Nike in a European position as a director, and after as a global director in Nike in the US.
Ah, right, okay. So you were never short of good quality sports goods then?
Yeah, no, it was when I got injured. Obviously, it was as an ex-professional, and I was still young, 21, 22. It was a great opportunity from Nike to scout and to be working with the best athletes in the world. Right. So this gave me everybody talks about the black hole, after the career of a professional. Right. So I was very fortunate to have this opportunity to still be involved in the world of sport and working with the best athletes in the world. So this gave me obviously a great opportunity to develop myself in the business, around the business of sports,
Yeah. So, but we are going to talk quite a bit more about this, Chris. But let's just talk a little bit about, how you ended up in Spain and why this part of Spain.
Well, obviously, that's for the listeners. I think that makes a bit sense because then, I had a tennis academy in Holland. But, being 8 o'clock in the winter time, with the rain and the roads, etc. So we decided after a while to to come in the winter time to train with the boys,
Right.
with athletes here in Spain. I was very fortunate to find another academy, which, by the way, Jorge Aguirre, was basically the coach of Davidovic, who's top 30 in the world right now. So we worked together. I brought the Dutch kids and the international kids, and he had a Spanish academy. So we started to work in Los Pacos in Fuengirola, together in the winter time. And after 2 years, we decided, okay, this is the place where we want to stay.
Yeah. So I mean, there are lots of beautiful places in Spain. Some of them are pretty cold and wet as well. We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago from Galicia, and he moved from Yorkshire to Galicia, and I said to him, you may as well have just driven up the road to Scotland, because the weather you've got in Galicia doesn't sound very much different from that. So the weather factor, especially as someone involved in sport, was a major factor for you, Chris.
Yes, of course, because tennis is a big thing, in Spain too. Obviously, the weather helps a lot to always train outside, and it's the lifestyle on top, where you basically work hard, and at the same time your life is very comfortable,
Sure.
So. Those two things was a great match, for my family and so for the athletes, So especially now, because now I'm more in football, So
Yeah.
so I turned from tennis into football. So, but anyway, yes, if you go to the north of Spain, it's different, because and you have to keep in mind in Andalusia. The tennis is the tennis, but especially the football is so massive.
Sure.
There's so many La Liga teams, which we work very closely together. So yeah, and obviously the Costa del Sol has everything,
Yeah, I guess you don't do an awful lot of playing in the sort of full summer, do you? Is that your kind of downtime, because it gets pretty damned hot down here?
Yeah, but you know what? We just got into a break for 6 weeks. So just to give the boys a break, because they are 11 months in training and playing at clubs here in Andalusia. So, but we start 15th of July, and obviously, as you know, 15th of July till the end of August is pretty hot. But at the end, we play a little bit later in the evening.
Right.
So that would work, or in the morning. And at the end, you have to get used to it, So because obviously it's something, it's also a mental training sometimes, and they get used to quickly. So, and most players, most soccer players, most football players, they're coming around the world. So in Atlanta or Florida, so it's even more humid, it's even more warmer, So different. And here, and as you know, Bill, here at the Costa del Sol, there's always a little breeze. So it's very, very comfortable. Of course, it's hot, but they get used to it quickly after 1 or 2 weeks, because they've been here for 2, 3 years already,
Right. How was the move for you, Chris, coming down here? I know people are always interested in people's experiences of making the move. But was it a difficult transition for you?
No, to be honest, Bill, not really. Because, we moved from different places, from America to France, from France to Holland, from Holland to Spain. So the move was pretty easy, and with being a European citizen, it really helped, So we didn't have too much problems. Of course, you have to do the paperwork and but my family basically lived out of a suitcase, So for us, it's easy, Of course, we had our homes in different places, but at the end, the move was pretty easy, very easy, especially because we went here, as you know, we went in the winter time, 4 or 5 months. So we got to know people, we got to know the procedures and the protocols, etc. So yeah, it was not that hard, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's probably the general experience of European citizens moving into Spain. That it's a fairly much a given that once you spent your 6 months and you want to register for your residency, that there would need to be some very good reasons why that would be turned down. So,
Exactly.
yeah. How about the language? Had you been learning the language in your trips over here? How does that go on for you?
Yeah. Studying myself and working on the language. The problem is, as you know, Bill. Spanish is good, but the accent of Andalusia is not easy to get that under control. So, you know, so I don't know if your listeners have that same problem sometimes, but it's okay. I can manage, and obviously you need to speak the language. Although as you know, this the place here in Mijas and surroundings, there's so many international people. So
Sure.
it's like almost half, But again, you have to manage. You have to make sure at the end, you're the host here in the country, so you want to make sure that you can manage the language, But so that's what obviously, I don't speak perfectly, but I can manage,
Yeah, but you know what, Chris? I think that for people like yourself and a lot of the Northern Europeans, they already have a second language that they speak well, in your case English, from a very early age.
Yes.
And I think, coming over here, not retiring in your late 60s or early 70s, already with two languages, I think to some extent getting the third language in is a little bit easier than somebody, let's just say, who's only ever spoken English in the UK and comes over here and they get very self-conscious about listening to themselves speaking in a foreign language,
Yeah, but Bill, that works for young people, So it's for me, when you get older, it's not easy. I got German and French in school, so that stays. But to learn a new language when you're older is a little bit more difficult, I don't know why, because probably we're missing a few cells, and we're not making new ones. But anyway, so yeah, I need to work harder to get it done. So, but that's fine. The Spanish people, as you know, they're very open-minded, and unfortunately, they're not speaking too much English. But it's also better to learn the language, So yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, Chris, you didn't come over here to retire. You came over here to work. So, but when I first came over here, I was having a change of career, decided I was going to be teaching English. And it didn't dawn on me before I got here that when parents would phone me up saying, can you arrange classes for my son or my daughter, they didn't speak English. So even in order to book up my English classes and things, I had to be able to speak Spanish. And I had been learning over a period of years before we moved out here. But as you say, sometimes the accents and things are a bit challenging, shall we say.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy you're joining me in this one. So
yeah, listen, somebody may be in Spain learning English and decides to move to Dundee in Scotland or Liverpool in England. And they're wondering what language is being spoken,
Totally, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry to anyone from Liverpool or anyone from Dundee, but I do struggle sometimes with the Liverpool
Hey,
accent.
man, I love to hear their language, man. They have a nice football club, so
Yeah,
love to hear them. Love that they visit us.
Yeah. So Chris, so you've been here permanently about 8 years. How has the journey been in terms of establishing yourself in your work as a sports director?
Yeah, so in the beginning, obviously, I had the tennis academy, so that was nice. But then, the academy moved to Almeria, so I basically joined another tennis academy. But then, I needed to find a new challenge, here. So the good part is my son Samuel, who's 26 now, he started to play football here. And, I said, oh, that's also interesting, and people from another academy asked me, hey, hey, you're a good organizer, you know how to sport works, you know what athletes need, so maybe you can start an academy. I say, oh, I don't know, because I don't know too much about football. So, that's, I was very fortunate to start a football academy, start small, but then in the end, I'm living a great thing, because, we're working with very good athletes around the world, very young people.
Right.
Now we are like having 6 years or 7 years of having this academy, so to keep you busy, it's very important. Retire. I felt a little bit retired for like 6 months, but then
Sure.
starting with this new challenge, that was great, to initiate this football academy. So I'm very happy I start doing that. And we're doing it now for 6 to 8 years. So that means that something that we love,
Yeah.
to doing.
And in Spain in general, I can't speak, I guess, for the whole of Spain, but they are, young people are very sports minded, aren't they? Whether it's football or tennis or basketball, which is very big here in Spain, golf. Paddle tennis is also
Cycling.
very popular. Absolutely. So there is a real kind of culture of getting involved in sport down here, isn't there?
Yeah, totally. It's like almost football is a religion, almost, So
I think it is
now
everywhere,
it's just
Chris.
it's just incredible, how it's very nice to see how sport what a major part sport takes here in this country, So it's very nice. I knew it before because of my Nike and working with the big athletes from Spain. So you saw, I've been visiting Spain, so we saw, and obviously the football, we all know it's like massive, in Spain, So not only on the first level, but even on the amateur level,
Yeah. So you'd been coming out back and forward for a couple of years during the winter. You say it was for the sport, but I'm sure it was just to get away from the bad weather in Holland. But
yeah, no.
And I guess that was when you started making your contacts out here, Chris.
Yeah, because of my Nike, working 20 years for Nike, 10 years as an employee and 10 years as a consultant, obviously I got a pretty big network, so, but yes, I mean, to live here, to have the people around you and etc. Yeah, absolutely, So, at the end, you build up and friendships here too, so, and that's obviously very important for life, So, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and if I've learned anything down here, you need in Spanish they call it enchufes. An enchufe is really like a plug that you put in the wall, but you very often, in order to get the breaks, the opportunities, you need an enchufe, a connection. And these connections can make things happen much more easily than very often just sort of going out and doing your own thing and contacting people, don't they?
Of course, and as you know, that sports or it's a huge entufe, to connect people,
Yeah, yeah.
So we're meeting people. We work with many clubs around this area, and you meet so many people. So it's definitely. I mean, because being working in sports, I'm very fortunate that I was able to get this opportunity to work with young people, So absolutely, I agree with you, Bill.
Yeah. So just before we talk about really in detail what you're doing these days, Chris, we've touched on bits and pieces here. How was your sort of reflection of your experience of working for such a huge global company like Nike?
I mean, it's a dream job, the funny thing, I came for an interview. I worked for another sports company in the Benelux.
Uh-huh.
I came for an interview through a headhunter in the European office in Nike. This was in the mid-90s.
Right.
So the European office was still only, I don't know, they did maybe a couple of 100 million, and they doing now in Europe probably 15 billion, you know. So I came at the right time to come to this company, just a global company. To work in the company like this is an unbelievable experience. The culture in the company is amazing.
Right.
I'm still loyal to the brand, as you can see, you know. So you know, being 20 years with them and travel around the world, working with champions, you know, meeting so many friends, you know, seeing the world.
Right.
You know, it was just an amazing journey. Let's put it like
so
this.
what was part of your work then, Chris, sort of looking at people to sponsor?
Yeah.
To represent the company.
Yeah, so basically what my job was is to manage the global business for tennis, but mainly my job was being in the sponsorship. So basically I scouted the talents and then signed them and then integrate them into the business, you know, into the marketing mix to make sure that obviously it generates revenues.
Sure.
So that's basically was my role, first in Europe and then after in the world.
Right.
So yeah, that was a great experience, you know, signing those players.
But I guess even then, probably more so now, it was a very competitive industry with, you know, other large manufacturers also sort of looking to capture these stars. So I guess it wasn't simple. It may have been enjoyable, but I guess it wasn't always simple.
No, it's not simple, but you know, obviously, if you have a good team and good eyes, this is very important.
Right.
You know, being the first is very important. You know, for example, I signed Maria Sharapova at 8.5, Nadal at 10 years young, you know, Federer at 14. You know, all these guys, you know, from the mid 90s, you know, so that's the whole thing, you know, to see the potential of the athlete and being the first and you know, having your network, was amazing.
Yeah. So were you doing this kind of scouting for these up and coming possible stars?
No, I did it for Nike. So Nike wanted to sign Nadal, for example. So I needed to identify and sign athletes around the world. And in tennis, you know, it's a very small, in one global world, but it's a small world. And
Right.
once you're in there, you know, it's small for you, but it's big for the people outside, you know.
Right.
So you need to be the first, because once you sign the players the first, you know, and you put them on the contract and you work with them and you build a relationship and friendship pretty much, you know, then they will stay forever in their career. And that's pretty much realized, you know, like
Right.
Sharapova stayed till the end. Okay, Federer at the end he changed the thing, but he's been the whole career been with Nike. Nadal the same, and more guys, you know. So yes.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So when you say that you worked with big names, you really weren't joking there, Chris.
No, it's not a joke, you know. But you know, at the end, when you meet them early, they're not big names, you know. They are very humble people, you know. And the key thing is you need to find the guys which have a certain personality, that they stay humble. Because if they don't stay humble, they won't make it as a champion.
Really?
So, and if they're humble, that means the family normally also gave them the right values.
Right.
So these are the key things to identify. You know, for me as an ex-tennis player, I see quickly the talent, you know, and the potential.
Right.
But the key thing is how the personality will develop. And at a 10-year-old girl or 10-year-old boy, it's very difficult to see. But you can see elements when you speak to the parents, how they live, etc. So, you know, you basically grow with them, and they grow into certain personalities. and you just hope that they stay humble and lift trophies most of the time, and that's a champion.
Right, yeah. We actually watched just a few weeks ago the movie with the Williams girls.
Yeah.
And it was quite a moving story, and how determined they were, and how difficult it was for them to break into to the whole tennis world.
It's very hard, Bill, and obviously we worked with Richard too. We had him in the office many times. So when I see these things like the Michael Jordan documentary, I lived in that time when obviously I didn't work with Michael Jordan, but my colleagues did. So, and I was involved, and in those meetings, and then you see the same names, and it's very interesting to see, and also the Richard Williams one, so
Sure.
It's been very hard for them, but at the end is, they kept believing, he kept working hard, and the girls stayed humble, and that was the key to success.
Yeah. Chris, we're going to take a short break, and
Okay.
we'll be back, and we'll talk a bit more about your work here on the Costa del Sol.
All right.
And we are going to listen to the Rolling Stones, Mr. Hailwood.
Wow, let's go. Let's rock and roll.
You're listening to Expat Radio, beaming out across France and around the world.
Welcome back. I'm Bill Anderson, coming live from the Costa del Sol with my guest today, a very interesting guest, Christian Vermeeren. Chris, welcome back. I'm having a conversation here with our producer in France, who is very much into the whole sporting world. And he said, "Oh, this is fascinating." I think just, someone like yourself who has been a professional sportsman, having the sort of day-to-day contact in many ways with people that are household names, and then moving to Spain and really starting all over again, Chris.
Yes. Obviously it's not totally start over again, because at the end I was working with athletes in the world of sports, in the world of tennis, in the world. So having working with athletes, you take a lot of expertise in how to develop them, how to work with them, how to talk to them, to families, etc. So using that expertise to my next challenge here, to build and develop a football academy 8 years ago, it really supported me and helped me to develop this new challenge. Yeah.
So, Chris, what was it that made you take this sort of leap or change of direction from tennis, which I guess had been your life's passion, to football?
Because I wanted to have a new challenge and meet new people, and because I've been in that world for 20 years, and my son started to play football, so here in Spain and also in Gibraltar. So he was at the football academy, and I saw things. Okay, that's not going to work for athletes to develop and persons to develop. So I said, you know what? Let me give it a try, and here we are.
Right. Okay. So you have your football academy now, yeah?
Yes.
How difficult was that? Just getting the whole thing set up and recognised, and I know that there are things with federations and things in Spain that can be a bit complicated. How did that work out for you?
To be honest, pretty easy. But like any other business, to set up a company, you have to go through all the protocols, and which is not so difficult in Spain, to be honest. So as a European citizen is to be honest, very easy. Obviously to build and to develop an academy and to have an average of 35 players from 20 different countries in the last 4 or 5 years, that takes time, So, but once you're there, you still have to innovate and try to work to perfection. Which is not possible, to be honest, because, it's not easy to take care of 35 students and players, because they also study here, because the main thing is they come here for study, And then obviously also they have their huge passion to fulfill, to play in one of the best countries in the world to play football. But at the end, the number one priority is academics.
Right. Okay. So just talk us through, Chris. I tend to think of a football academy is as just somewhere where kids go how to play better football. But what you're saying is far more than that.
The football is, to be honest, the easiest part. We have 20 different countries: America, New Zealand, Australia, Asia, from 5 different continents. We have players here, so that means they all have different high school programs. They have different university programs. We work with many international universities in Marbella together. So obviously, the number one priority is to make sure that the guys will be successful football-wise, but football-wise is only a few percent if you have a few percent. We had players once a year. We get a guy who signs with a big, with a big team. In fact, we had 1 year ago, we had a guy signed for Betis. So He was here for 1 year from Ghana, and he signed for that. But at the end, we need to make sure that the 99.9% of the other kids and with the families trust us to make sure they have the proper education, and academically, so they have different opportunities beside football and always have a plan B.
So sorry, yeah, I'm just.
Yeah.
Our producer in France, Dave Halewood, he's got contacts with Manchester United, so I think you two should have a conversation. Chris.
Okay, we connect. Let's connect. That's a connection already. Yeah. To be honest, we're working with very nice. This is very. You said about how to connect. I mean, I connected with the global scout for South America for Man United. And he's an Argentinian, and he asked me 4 years ago, Chris, I've got a daughter and he scouts big talents, for Manchester United, South Americans, football wise.
Sure.
And he connected me with, and he said, Chris, I've got a daughter. She's 11. She's 16 now. And she's number 1 in Argentina and playing tennis, and I have no idea what to do with her. Can you please help? I said, yes, of course. So he learned me the profession of being a global scout in football, and I advised him how to deal with his daughter, because obviously it's not easy for parents to work with once you have an athlete,
Sure. And what are the ages of the students that you have at the academy, Chris?
Yeah, so what I said is we have 20 different countries, and they between 15 and 22, 23. That's pretty much the average age. And they're all trained together. They train every day. They have a full program. They train in the morning. In the afternoon, they go to school. We have our own teachers. We have our own restaurant. We try to run it like a second family, like a sports family, because the kids are like 10 months here. They study Spanish, or they go to study high school, or they go to university here in Spain. So, many things. Yeah. So, but that's about the age groups we're working with, because if they get too young, we get them over maybe for a week or 1 month to experience, because too young is not the right timing yet, to get them too early, because at the end, they need to go stay with the family too,
Sure. Yeah. This is I don't want this to sound negative, but I think you mentioned it already, Christian, that not all of these young people are going to make it to the big lights, are they?
No, I told you it's like less than 1% is going to make it. We have, over the last 8 years, we have 7, 8 guys who play professional, semi-professional, which is really, trust me, it's if you ask other academies, I think they don't even match this. So, and this is very high, so every year we get 30, 35, and maybe one makes it, and you have to keep in mind that most of the time needs 2-3 years, because they're coming from countries where football is not as developed as in Europe, you know, like America, New Zealand, Australia. I mean, it's developed, but not like in Europe, you know. So in Europe, competition is massive. So it's very, very hard.
Yeah. And I guess as well that it answers the question about why the educational part is so important.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's why, Bill, we're working with the town hall, you know, with Mijas, to try to see if we can create our own campus, you know, an educational, academic, and sports campus. As you know, we've been talking that a few years, and it's still pending. And we hope to find a way that we can start this, because obviously that will be the first one in Europe ever that you have an academic and multi-sport academy all together on one campus. So this doesn't exist. This only exists in America. In America, they are advanced in this, especially from the academic point of view. You know, the online studies, etc. So we're working hard with the Mijas, and when the time is right, we hopefully can realize this legacy project, which will be massive for Mijas, because Mijas will be pointed out in the whole world. And we just hope that we could realize that in a matter of 1 or 2 years.
So you really are pioneering this type of training preparation down here in Spain. As you say, these kind of things exist in other parts of the world, but you're kind of pioneering this down here, Chris.
Yes, Bill, because, my time is running out and I want to leave my footprint. Obviously I did with the things, but I want to make sure that, I can work on a project, which is a legacy project for the community here. Everybody wins, because it could be like a legacy from an academic, social and sports legacy. So, and we got the right people, the right developers, the right investors, the right finances. So we just can do this also for the community, because one part will be purely used by the public.
Right.
And just to push it to the next level, sports and academically, from an international perspective.
Right.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and I'm very excited about that. So let's hope we get it realized,
Sure. Are they all young men that you have in the academy, or do you have girls preparing as well for football?
At the moment, we're focusing on boys. We had girls last year, but it's very important, because, it's a big responsibility. Girls is even bigger responsibility, and from my perspective, so especially when they're minors.
Right,
so at the moment we focus on boys, but in this new project, we're definitely going to be focusing, also focus on girls.
Right.
But you need to get the right, the right installation, the right infrastructure to make sure once you start this.
Yeah.
It's even more responsible than boys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can understand.
The way I feel it. The way my team feel it, yeah.
But it seems to me that, over the last 20 years, girls and women have been getting more into football than perhaps they ever have been. And I think we had a women's football team at one point here in Mijas, not professional, but the women were getting together to play football. And it does seem to be an area that more girls, young women are interested in developing, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Especially in America, it's a number 2 sport.
Really?
So participation-wise. So they mainly play football. Look, they're most of the time world champions, So in Holland, obviously too, and England too, So as long as you have a Dutch coach, in England. So no, I'm just joking. So you can get world titles,
Yeah.
But anyway, definitely. No, it will be definitely a thing. But at the end, we need to be ready. we already tried last year. My feeling is that we were not ready, to take that responsibility.
Yes.
So we're focusing now and concentrating on boys at the moment.
Right.
But yes, the world of girls football is massive and is growing.
Right. Yeah. And do you see what you have at the moment here in Mijas? Is that enough, or could you see yourself perhaps opening another academy in another part of Spain?
No, it's not my focus. My focus is on keeping a very high performance and quality academy, not too big, maximum 35 players.
All right.
We have the new installation, we can grow. Because you have to deliver a quality service, and quality service, mainly the football is not that hard to organize, but because we got the network to the clubs and everything.
Right.
But the main objective is there's so much other elements, the academics, they get sick, they need to go to the doctor, all these things. It's like, we are like second family. The parents are not here. So we have to make sure that all these things are to show the parents that we really care like a family,
Right.
So, and that takes a lot of time and work and 24/7.
It is a big responsibility, Chris, isn't it?
Big responsibility.
Yeah.
Big bill. Yeah. But that's
Are you getting support from the local authority on this, Chris? Because I don't think Mijas is particularly worse than any other, but sometimes just getting the commitment from the local authorities, or getting to the point of them making a commitment, can be a long and tough road, can't it?
Ooh, yeah. We've been working on this project for. Let's see. Well, I started 6 years ago when I identified the location. But that time it wasn't ready. 2 years ago, we started again. And it takes time, but now with the new government, even I know they have many things and activities to do. I know it's a thing on the agenda. So,
Right.
we just hope, they will activate, because, not only for us, it's for the Mijas, the community, who is interested in multi-sport, and
Sure.
academically, it can be big. But yeah, sometimes it's challenging, but we understand there's many things. Everybody wants something, so we have the patience. In the meantime, we're growing steadily, slowly, but we're growing the things what we're doing. So be patient. And as you know, for a Dutch guy, it's not easy to be patient, but we are. So we learned that here in Spain, to be patient and listen well and take your time.
Yes, yeah. There's nothing happens fast down here, Chris, is there? Everything seems to take its time.
No, but we're working with some people in the tunnel. They're fantastic, we can train here. We work with many clubs which are supported by the town halls. It's a big project, takes time, but the good thing is, we have a really good plan. We have the finances. So it's a matter of time to make sure that quarter is falling, so, or I don't know if that's really English, to be honest, but at the end, we just keep going what we're doing. We love what we're doing. We care about what we're doing. And at the same time, let's hope I can leave my legacy here, because that will be a fantastic challenge, for the next step here in Mijas,
Sure. Chris, we only have a few minutes left. If there are people out there who are interested in the work that you're doing, how would they get in touch with you?
Okay, that's probably the hardest question. But the Instagram account is Global M Malaga, Global M from M Malaga,
Okay.
one word.
Global
And they should ask you or send you a message to get my email address, and But Global M Malaga, they should be able. And my name is Chris Vermeeren, so I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so they probably can find it, you know. So,
Yes. Right.
So if they would be interested, more than happy to answer their questions, you know.
Yeah, and there may also be people who are interested in the development side, you know, not just perhaps looking for places for the young people to go, but maybe interested in the development side. And I'm sure you wouldn't say no to some nice sponsorship as well, would you?
Man, of course, they're more than open to talk, you know, but they're talking to a sponsorship guy. So, you know, hey, that would be nice to receive something, you know, instead of the other round to giving away sponsorships, you know. So,
absolutely, yes.
More than happy. I mean, at the end, if it helps the boys and in their development, because we're starting our own teams, you know, so more than happy to discuss and to talk, you know. Thank you so much. Yeah, if people like what we are doing, you know.
Yeah, sure. But when I put the podcast out, which will go out on YouTube, I'll put some links to your Facebook and Instagram in there as well, Chris.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Bill. Yeah, I'm happy you put Rolling Stones on, you know, because I'm not sure if people listen to me or listen to Rolling Stones. At least listen to Rolling Stones, got all the people for sure back, you know, on your your radio station.
No, listen, Chris, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, and you know, really, I take my hat off to you for taking the plunge and setting up this academy. Because, you know, although you said it hasn't been that hard, I know that there's nothing that you do down here that's that easy. And I think you have made a massive contribution in this by setting this up. And I really hope that you get the support both locally and maybe some sponsorship to really develop this.
And of course, I'm very happy that, you know, that I can share my journey, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, obviously, you know, if this can help more kids, even, you know, local kids, you know, because we're more than happy to support them, you know, to
Sure.
If they have any questions, because it's not easy, the world of sports, you know. It looks great.
Sure.
You know, once you're there, and then still it's difficult, but trust me, the families, they need support and advice most of the time.
Chris, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for everyone who's been listening in today, and I shall be back next week with another guest. Chris, have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All of you have a great weekend, and I'll be back next week.